Okay. Like I said, once more, I take it that 6:30 p.m. Every Monday, and we're going to do this every Monday, except during Easter break, maybe another break somewhere. But I gave you a schedule, and so we are going to be working with that schedule. The other thing then, housekeeping, is that I know very well that it imposes somewhat of a strain on everybody that we're going to be doing this class using a software, a computer analysis, a statistical analysis software. It's very important for you to understand something very simple, that when you go out there with a piece of paper that says you are a college graduate, it's really very important for you to be able to demonstrate as much competence as possible. When you are done with this class, you potentially will have good knowledge of, an intermediate level of applied statistics with more topics than the ordinary student who takes only one class in applied statistics. But you also will need to be able to use, again, computer software, one kind or another. And like I said, you might become an expert. Always think about potentials, and you never know what you can learn and how much you can apply what you have learned. It's very, very important that you acquire as much skill as possible. But out there in the industry, when you leave college, it's very competitive. And the more you know, the greater the chances that somebody will take a look at what you have or give you a chance. And somebody can train you much more easily than somebody who does not have the same experiences that you do. So for this class, I propose that we are going to use SPSS. As a matter of fact, we have always used SPSS in this class, period. We use a statistical software. I suggested that if you want to use Minitab, use Minitab. I could help you a little bit with Minitab, not as much as I would with SPSS. I have run Minitab. I don't use it that much. Use it only for teaching, for those who might want to use Minitab. But I may not be able to demonstrate Minitab today. I'm going to demonstrate two things. I'm going to demonstrate how to do the work here using MS Excel, and then I'm going to demonstrate how to do the same work using SPSS. Now, MS Excel comes standard with many computers these days. SPSS, you would have to download. It costs $40, but I think with $40, you have a license for 2 laptops. So two students can share one license for 6 months, which will cost you $40. So in that regard, it's not very expensive. And just to minimize the cost, the cost of doing this class for everybody, I decided to convert the class to a zero textbook cost class. And you're not going to miss anything, compared to if you had bought a textbook. Believe you me, because I have a free textbook for you that covers most of the topics. And for the other topics that are not in the free textbook, I have downloaded chapters of books that address the same topic just as easily. Or I could photocopy and scan chapters of books that cover the same topic. So you don't have to worry about textbook in this class. And so now that I spare you the cost of textbook, spending $20 or $40 on an SPSS software is not going to be difficult. Now, the reason I say spending money on SPSS shouldn't be much of a strain is because you can do your assignments using MS Excel. But if you do your assignments using MS Excel, the process is going to be more tedious. And as long as you're prepared to deal with the tedium, then you shouldn't have any issues using MS Excel. And I will demonstrate to you how to use MS Excel and also demonstrate the same problem using SPSS. And so it's up to you during the next week or two to say to yourself, it's worth it to spend $40 on SPSS, or it's worth it to share SPSS license with another student and spend $20 each for 6 months. It's really worth it from my own point of view. If I was a student, I'll find a way to squeeze out $20 or to squeeze out $40. But again, it's easy to say to squeeze out $40 if you're a student, because I was once a student for many, many years. Sometimes squeezing out the equivalent of $40 was a difficult thing. I mean, it became a choice between doing one thing or, squeezing $40 for a book or whatever. Well, in my own time, textbooks did not cost as much then. I remember I bought a textbook way back that cost me $27, and I was very upset because then textbooks cost $6, $7, or $8. But that was way back, many, many moons ago. Things have changed. Okay, having said that, do you have any questions for me before we proceed? Okay, hearing none.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, Professor, the software that you say to purchase.
Yes.
I tried to download it from my computer, and I cannot even download it. The SPSS.
Yes.
Yeah, I cannot even download it from my computer.
What did you say?
The software that you asked to purchase.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I cannot even download it from my computer, and I have a Mac.
It has a Mac version. That's not an excuse. But in fact, I forgot also to say that CUNY has a free SPSS on virtual desktop. So you don't even have to, worry about it. The only difference is that you cannot download that SPSS into your laptop. But now that you say it, I'm going to make a note. I'm going to make a note, in consideration of COVID, whether CUNY would allow you all to download it temporarily, for 6 months. I mean, you have a license. CUNY has a big license. And even McEvers College has a license, a big license. It used to be that we would, use the lab to teach this class. So I'm going to find out if the lab version you can access it from home. I'm going to raise that issue. Okay, but SPSS has a Mac version. If you go to on the hub, the link that I provided to you, they will show you how to download a Mac version of SPSS. All right. Any other questions? Okay, hearing now, the last pep talk I want to give is that it's very important that you do the homework assignments and do the quizzes. I see at the end of week 1, nobody completed the quiz, nobody completed the homework assignment. That is not, good for business. I don't know how you intend to pass the class if you do no homework assignment and if you do no quiz. It doesn't make sense. So, but I would like to know why. Why didn't you do it? If I have to modify the assignment a little bit, we'll modify it. But why did you not do the homework assignments? All right. So I'm going to proceed today to talk about essentially what we're going to do in the second week of this class. Okay. What we're supposed to do in the first week, nobody came last week. So I'm just going to proceed in second week. And the reason I am doing this It's not to punish you, don't get me wrong. The reason I am doing this is that the topic we're covering the first week and second week are topics you should have covered in Business Statistics 1. So I'm not introducing anything that is totally new or something that you're not aware of. But I will post a video of the lecture on the same topic in for week 1. I'll post that video on YouTube and distribute it to the class, and so you can watch it. Okay, that clear?
Yes, Professor.
All right. Somebody was gonna say something.
Oh, so you said nobody did the homeworks. I did all of the homeworks and the quizzes that was due yesterday.
Yeah, I did my first week too. I submitted the quiz and the homework.
Okay, so well, I've not checked it today, but the last I checked, maybe about 2 days ago, I saw what's going on here. Okay, and you might know that the financial economics majors have the highest GPA in the School of Business, and have also some of the most lucrative jobs out there since graduation. So you are special students, and so you should keep it up. Okay, that mess it up. Okay, so what is our topic today? Okay, what is our topic today? Our topic today will be to talk about the foundations for inferential statistics. So I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint slides. I'm going to go through the PowerPoint slides, and then I'm going to also do some problems. All right, I'm going to do some problems along the way so as to illustrate to you how where we are going, and along the way towards the end, I will demonstrate how to use Excel to do the problems, and I'll demonstrate how to use SPSS to do the problems that require those software. I know very often students will try to use SPSS and MS Excel to solve every problem. That is not necessarily true. So I'm going to explain that to you. So I will share my screen. Okay. All right. So there we go. So today we're going to talk about continuous probability distributions and inferential statistics. Okay. Okay. So, and like I said, we've already talked about. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use the normal probability distribution because, all right. So the normal probability distribution is the foundation of inferential statistics. Okay. I mean, at our level. Okay. The foundation of inferential statistics. All right. So now, what then do we mean by inferential statistics? What do we mean by inferential statistics? And I'm doing it this way so you can essentially participate with me. Okay. Now, what happens in statistics is that our subject is a population. Okay. So our subject is a population. So we want to understand, we want to be able to describe the characteristics of a population. Now, for example, how do you define population? Again, I'm kind of like going to quickly review things that you learned in introductory statistics. A population includes every member of a group. For example, if you think about McGivers College, and you ask yourself, what is the population of students at McGivers College? The population is every single student that has registered for school in McGivers College this semester. If you count every single student, then you have a population. Now, I want to describe the characteristics of the population, okay? Characteristics of population. For example, average income, average travel time, okay? Average GPA. Now, these are characteristics of a population that could be of interest to a research analyst. Before I proceed, are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad you're seeing my screen because I could just be talking to myself. Okay. So you want to describe the characteristics of this population. What is the average income of a McGivers College student? What is the average travel time to school? What is the average GPA? These are characteristics of a population. Okay. Now, what really happens is that even though you want to study this characteristic, you do not always have all the information. For example, what is the average, say, the average weight of fish in a fish pond? What is the average length of fish in a fish pond? Okay. So let me look at other examples. The average weight of fish in a fish pond. All right. Okay. What is the average weight of fish in a fish pond? Well, first of all, you you think about the population of the fish pond. Okay. How can you actually define the population of a fish pond? Now, you are not able to define the population of a fish pond because fish come and go. And there's no way you can say exactly what the population is. Nevertheless, there is a characteristic. And so our objective is to do what? Okay. Our objective is to use information from a sample to make judgment or inference about the population. Okay. So this is what our objective is to use information from a sample. And so the population here we characterize as large N, and the sample will have a size small n. Okay. Again, I'm going through this quickly because these are things that I believe you covered in your first class in statistics. Okay. So use information from a sample to make judgment or inference about the population. Okay. So now this is going to be our subject for the whole of this class. We're going to do nothing but inferential statistics. Of course, we begin to do inferential statistics by, first of all, getting to understand a descriptive statistics. Okay. So the learning objectives for this class are pretty easy. Are you seeing my screen better now? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So I didn't realize that the screen was not. Okay, so we're going to use information from a population to make judgments about the information from a sample to make a judgment about the population. So the objectives are very easy. We're going to be able to describe the normal probability distribution, describe the standard number distribution, and compute and interpret estimate, do confidence intervals, and also interpret confidence intervals. All right. Now, the number distribution, what does it look like? Now, the number distribution is a statistical distribution of the values, okay, the values of a variable, okay? So, number distribution, okay, presents the values of a variable, and I will say a random variable, okay? And what's a random variable? A random variable is a variable that changes its values, all right? All right, so now as you already know, the number distribution is bell-shaped. It is symmetrical about the mean, okay? About the mean mu, okay? So,
Hello?
yeah, hello?
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize my stuff was here.
Omar, are you in? Hello?
It's Ayadeji by himself. Ayadeji.
Oh, Ayodeji, are you in? Are you having problems?
Yes, I had to log in with a laptop and then use my phone to call in. I don't know if that's how I'm supposed to do it, but it's just
Okay.
so I'm here on two different accounts.
If you use a laptop to log in, you can see us. Can you see my face or my picture?
Yeah, I can see everything.
Okay, so you don't need the phone then, because you can benefit in every way.
Okay.
All right. You don't need the phone. You just as long as you are seeing us, you're getting everything that you need. I mean, the phone will only create an interference for you, or I might say distraction.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Now, the number distribution represents the values of a variable, a random variable, and you can see, as it is said here, it's bell-shaped. Okay, it's bell-shaped. It's symmetrical, as you can see. It is symmetrical in the sense that exactly in the middle of this number distribution, the mean is exactly in the middle of a number distribution. So, for example, 50% of the values of the variable that is normally distributed are on the left side, and 50% of the values of a normally distributed variable are on the right side. And the area of the normal distribution is always equal to 1, okay? Okay, the area under the normal curve is always 1, okay? And so the probability, and I'm going to illustrate those probabilities, okay? So that the probability of having any set of values, and I'm going to put it right here. Probability of ranges of value, okay? For example, what is the probability that a random variable is less than, greater than 6, but less than 8? So you can ask yourself, now let us think about how much you spend on lunch. How much you spend on lunch. Now, the question arises, let us say a student comes to a college canteen and spends money on lunch. The normal distribution that is symmetrically shaped will give you the percentage of students that spend between $6 and $8 on lunch, okay? What is the travel time to school? You ask yourself, what is the probability that the average student travels between 25 minutes and 15 minutes, okay? These are the kinds of questions that you ask and answer using probability distributions, and particularly the normal probability distribution. You can only ask this question in ranges of values. You cannot ask it for a specific value. All right. So, like we said, the area under the normal distribution is always equal to 1. So the probability distribution that you are seeing here, this probability is always going to be between 0 and 1, okay? So the probability that the average student travels between 15 minutes and 25 minutes is going to be less than 1, okay? Or ask yourself a simple question. What percentage of students travel between 15 and 25 minutes? Okay, it can be 0%, but it can never be more than 100%, and it cannot be negative. It cannot be less than 0, because if it's less than 0, then it's negative, which is not true. Okay. All right. So, and we're going to look at some very simple examples because we're not going to dwell on this. So let's look at how we calculate areas under the normal distribution. We use a random variable called z, okay? And this z has a value between 0 and 1, okay? Z has a value between 0 and 1. So I'm going to look at some simple examples about how to calculate probability distribution using the imaginary, okay? We're going to use the imaginary random variable called z. All right. And Z is an imaginary random variable. Okay. Going to reduce that. Imaginary random variable with a mean of mu. Okay. A mean mu equals with a mean of 0 and a standard deviation equals 1. Okay. So this is an imaginary random variable. Now, after we work with the imaginary random variable, then we're going to work with an actual variable like average travel time. Okay. We're going to ask ourselves, what is P? What is the probability that Z is between 0 and 1? Okay. What is the probability that Z is between 0 and 1? And we're going to look at, we're going to use the table of normal distributions. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, there's a table of normal distributions that you have in at the back of your book. Okay. So if you look at that table of normal distribution, you will see, and I'm going to recast this problem. We're going to find out, just give me a minute. Okay. And we're going to look at an example. We're going to recast this example. And we're going to find out, for example, the probability that Z has a value between 0 and 1.3. Okay. Now, if you look at your table, you see that you go from 0 to 1.3, you see the probability is 0.4032. Okay. And so this will be 0.4032, which is equal to 40.32%. So the percentage of the values of Z that fall between 0 and 1.3 is 0.4032 or 40.32%. That is how to read off the normal probability distribution. Okay. So now we're going to look at other examples. And before we do that, I'm going to get another table. Okay. I'm going to get another table of normal distribution so as to give you a full illustration. Okay. So just give me 1 minute. Okay, now for a minute, I'm going to pull up the table. Let me see if I can pull up that table for you. Okay, so do you see the table of normal distribution? Hello, my friends.
Yes.
Okay, I want to hear the hallelujah. Okay. All right. So if you ask yourself, what is the probability that z has a value between 0 and 1? Okay. The z has a value, the probability is, see 0 here, and you see 1 there. So the probability is 0.3413. What is the probability that z has a value between 0 and 1.05? Okay, this is 0.05, this is 1. The probability will be 0.3513. So that's how we're going to read of the areas under the normal curve. So now let's look at examples. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take a simple example, and I'm going to look at an actual application. Okay. I'll look at an actual application. Your book has quite a bit of applications, but I'm going to do one here that we can work with. Okay. All right. So that's an example. Okay. It says the Leighton Tire and Rubber Company wishes to set a maximum mileage guarantee on its MX100 tires. Okay. Now, tests reveal that the average mileage is 67,900 with a standard deviation of 2,050. Now, I'm going to ask a very simple question. What is the probability that a tire, a random tire, will last between 64,000 and 72,000 miles? So let's look at this example here. Okay. Tire company example. What is the probability that a tire, okay, a tire will last between 64,000 miles and 72,000 miles. Now, remember from the problem, it says that the mean is 67,900 and standard deviation of 2,050. Okay. So the tire company example, we know that the mean mu equals to 67 900. And the standard deviation equals 2050. Okay, so this is our example. All right. So what we do now is we set the problem. Okay, set the problem, which is easy. We're asking for probability that a tire will be between 64,000 and 72,000 miles. What percentage of tires will last between 64,000 and 72,000 miles? That is the question that we're asking. What percentage of tires will last between 64,000 and 72,000 miles? Now, as we learned in Statistics 1, we have to standardize this X value into Z values. That is what we're trying to do, okay? We're going to standardize these X values into Z values. And so what we'll do is we'll calculate Z equals, and I'm going to now insert equation. Okay, Z is equal to X minus mu over sigma. Okay, so that is what we do. So we calculate Z is equal to X minus mu over sigma. So the first X is 64,000. So we use that. Okay. So 64,000 minus 69,700 over sigma 2050. Okay. So what does that give us? Can somebody do that math for us? Hello, guys. Somebody help us with the math?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay. What do you get?
Wait, shouldn't you flip it the other way around? Because if you do that, you end
You
up
get a
with
negative number, yes. Yes,
Yeah.
and we will talk about that negative number.
It's negative 2.78, if I'm not mistaken. I might
Okay.
be wrong. I don't know.
No, you're not wrong.
Oh.
9,700 minus 64,000 over 2050. You're perfectly correct. 2.78 minus 2.78. That's what it is. All right. Now you calculate it for the first value. Okay. And I'm walking through this so that we all can see what we are doing. Okay. So we all can see what we are doing. Now the second one, we'll calculate okay, 72,000 minus 69,700 over 2050. And so what do we get?
1.12.
1.12. Okay. Yeah, 1.12. 1.12. So we get two Z values. Okay. Now, let's go back. We see here, as we said before, that the normal distribution is symmetrical. So the area of the curve on the left side, on the negative side, is equal to the area of the curve on the positive side. Do you get that point? Hello?
Wait, can you repeat that again, please?
Okay. Do you remember we said that the normal distribution is symmetrical? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when you take any area under the curve on the left side, which is going to have a negative value, that same area will be the same thing as if you get the same number of Z on the right side, which is a positive value. So you
Yeah.
understand that? Okay. Therefore,
Yes.
when we calculate the Z values and we get something negative, we should not worry about it. All right. We should not worry about it. What am I? Okay. So when we see this minus 278, all right, we are asking ourselves the question, what is the area of the curve between 0 and minus 278? All right, 2.78, not 278, minus 2.78. So we go to the normal distribution curve and we look at 2.7. Do you see 2.7 there?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to reduce this. Okay, here is 2.7. See 2.7 there, and you go until you go on to under 0.08. So that is 2.78. So what is the area of the curve between 0 and 2.78? Do you see it? What is it? Somebody shout it out to me.
0.4973.
0.4973. So we write that down, okay? So we're at 0.4973. Okay, and so the other Z we calculated is 1.12.
Yes.
Good. So the area of the curve between 0 and 1.12 is 1.12. What is it?
It's 0.38. Oh wait, can you move the cursor? 88.
No, 1.12. So this is 1.1, and you go on the
1.12. Yeah, it's 0.3888.
no, it's 0.3686.
That's on the top though. That's on 1.1.
1.1, and then you go on the 0.02. What you were looking at was 1.2 going on the 0.02.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got it. Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So
yeah.
we add those two numbers. So the probability would then be, this means then that the probability of a tire being between 64,000 and 72,000 is equal to 0.4973, 0.4973 plus 0.3686. Okay. And what is that? Yeah, somebody do the math. Can somebody help me?
You get 0.8659.
0.8659. Which is 86.59%. All right. So this is essentially how to read off the normal distribution. All right. So now let's move on then to now we're going to use this normal distribution to try to do confidence interval estimation. Okay, because this class has gone beyond reading of normal distributions. I just wanted to review it so that you can see where we are coming from and the instrument we're going to be using. Okay, so we use the normal distribution at our level of statistical analysis to do confidence interval estimates. Okay, to do confidence interval estimates. And so what is our problem here? Okay, what is the problem? The problem is very straightforward. Suppose you ask yourself a simple question. What is the average amount of money that a student spends for lunch? Okay, an example would be, what is the average amount of money that a customer spends at lunch? That is a question. All right, that is a question. And so we don't know, because one thing you have to do is to take a note of all possible customers that could have come to a restaurant in the whole population, or even in the population of customers that would ever come to a particular restaurant. So we do not know the true population mean. We do not know it. So what is it that we want to achieve when we establish a confidence interval? We want to estimate the population mean using the sample mean. Say, because we do not generally have access to population information. We do not generally have access to population information. So we use information from the sample. We use information from the sample to make an inference about the population, to make a judgment about what the population might look like. Okay? So that's why we say we use X bar is the sample mean, and combine it with the Z value to estimate a confidence interval for mu. What could mu be? All right? And so our estimate of mu is based on as it's stated very simple here, we use the estimate X bar, which is the sample mean, to estimate mu, okay? And we use the sample standard deviation to estimate the population standard deviation. All right, so how do we go about that, okay? Now, a confidence interval is the sample mean plus or minus a margin of error. And this margin of error is what we're going to estimate, okay? So what is the margin of error? All right, so I'm going to see if I can provide that here. Confidence interval is X bar plus or minus the margin of error. Or maybe, in fact, I can go back here and then come in here and say what the margin of error is, okay? So this is equal to X bar plus or minus Z times sigma over the square root of n. So I'm going to All right. So the confidence interval is x bar plus or minus z times square root of n. So let's look at a simple example. And like I said, I'm going to walk through this for your homework assignment. Here's an example, okay? Here's an example. Suppose an example of confidence interval. Now, what we're looking at here is an example of some research, okay, in some industry. And we want to estimate the mean annual income of the managers in this particular industry. So we take a sample of 68 managers and we calculate the sample mean X bar, okay? We calculate the sample mean X bar. There's X bar. The sample mean X bar equals 45,420. That is what we call the point estimate, okay? And we want to get a confidence interval. But when we say confidence interval, we give a percentage. How much confidence do you have in your estimate of the true mean? Okay, so we can think about a 98% confidence interval. We can think about a 99% confidence interval. We can think about a 95% confidence interval. So we're going to construct a 98% confidence interval of the true mean. We now have a sample mean, which is the mean that we calculate from a sample. Okay, so we take a 98% confidence interval. And so how do we construct that? Okay, how do we construct that? How we construct that is that we take this sample mean and the sample standard deviation. I'm going to say the standard deviation, which I forgot to include here, and sample standard deviation of, say, 3,500, and say what could be the true average population. And we're going to do that in a 98% confidence interval. Okay, so how do we go about doing that? So we select a Z value for 98%. Okay. And N, we know is equal to 68. All right. So what is going to be the confidence interval? So I'm going to create another box. Okay, I'm going to edit this. Okay, X bar. Okay, the point estimate and standard deviation. Okay, of 3,500. Okay, and we're going to construct a 98% confidence interval. All right. Okay, so we select the Z value for 98%. Okay, And the confidence interval is going to be, such that X, the X bar minus, remember we said it's X bar plus or minus, Z of 98%, sigma over root n. So let's go back. Okay, it's less than mu. Less than so we say it's X bar plus or minus. So on the left side will be X bar minus Z times sigma over root n. And on the right side will be X bar plus Z times sigma over root n. So this is pretty simple. And so the confidence interval would be X bar is what? 45,420. Am I correct? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. 45,420. And we didn't get Z yet. We know what sigma is, 3050. And N is 68. So this should be 45, 420. And Z we don't know yet, but we know sigma 3050 over the square root of n, which is square root of 68. So how do we select Z? Okay, how do we select Z? So now this is what we're going to do next, is to find Z. Now I'm going to go back and let us select Z. Now Z is 98% confidence interval. So we are saying that, now watch this very closely. You see the normal curve? Are we looking at the normal curve right now? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you're with me. Okay. We are saying that from the left-hand side here across to the right-hand side on the other side, there's going to be a lower value of our estimate. A lower estimate will be on this side, and the upper estimate will be on that side. We take X bar plus our margin of error, which will take us on that side, and X bar minus our margin of error, which is going to be on that side. That is our objective. Now, we want the lower value on this side. By the time we go from the lower value on this side to the upper value on the right side, we have 98% of this curve. We have 98% of the entire curve. Okay, how do we get that? Now, the curve, as we've been told, this curve is symmetrical, so that we take half of the curve on that side. So what is half of 98%? Can somebody tell me? What is half of 98%? Hello?
49.
49%. Speak up, guys. Speak up. I want to be sure that you are picking up on what I'm saying. Okay. Half of 98% is 49%. So we're going to capture half of our true population estimate, we're going to capture half of our estimate of the population mean on this side and half on that side. So 49% will be on this side and 49% will be on that side. Okay, so how do we get that 49%? So we're going to calculate the Z value that corresponds to 49%, and we're going to use it on both sides. All right, so I'm going to go back to the normal distribution. So when you look on this normal distribution, are you looking at the table?
Yes.
Okay. So where do we get 49%? We're going to look here until we see 49%. Okay, we see 0.4901. So we're not exact, right? We see 0.4901. Okay. So 0.4901 corresponds to what value of Z? 2.3 what?
Hey, can you repeat that, please?
Okay, 49%. This is this 0.4901. What value of Z does it correspond to? Miss Christelle, I'm going to start challenging us. Christelle, are you able to figure out what value of Z does 49% correspond to?
Says 0.3.
2.3 what?
03.
2.33.
Yeah, 3.
You get it?
Yeah.
Dutch, do you get it? Are you Deji?
Yes,
Are you
sir.
Deji?
Yes, sir.
Do you see why it is 2.33?
Yeah.
2.3 and 3 on that side. You see that?
Yes, sir.
Good. And so we go in here and say 2.33. And we come in here and we say 2.33. You get the point? Does everybody understand it now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we all understand why it is 2.33. So now somebody do the math.
Hmm.
All right. So can somebody do the math? We say the square root of 68 all right. So we have 8.246. So the math will be 45,420 minus, I'm going to use a different bracket here so as not to cause confusion, minus 2.33 times 0.4901. divided by 8.246. 8.2446. You see what I'm doing? Less than mu. Less than 45 or 20. Take this whole thing again. All right. All right. So now when you do this math, what do you get? Can somebody help us? Okay. $45 420 minus 61.79 percent. All right. So what is our answer? Somebody give me the answer. This is for the 6281. For the 6281.79 comes on that side. It's 44,558. So our confidence interval is simply says this. Okay, are you all listening? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
What is the meaning of this confidence interval? The meaning of this confidence interval is very simple. It says that we do not know the true average income of managers. We do not know the true average income of managers, but we can say with 98% confidence that the true average income of managers is between 44,558 and 46,281. Does it make sense? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. So what we have done here is called a confidence interval estimate. We do not know the true average income of managers, but we can say with 98% confidence that it falls between 44,558 and 46,281. That's what we are saying. All right? Okay. So now that we have done that by hand because somebody gave us the sample mean. Somebody gave us the sample mean. And somebody gave us the sample standard deviation. All right? Somebody gave us the sample standard deviation. But what if we do not have this information already summarized for us? That means we have to calculate a sample mean. We have to calculate a sample standard deviation by ourselves. We can easily read off a z-value from the table once we select our confidence level. If our confidence level is 99%, our z-value will be different. If our confidence level is 95%, our z-value will be different. But we can read off the z-value from a table once we know our confidence level, okay? But if somebody does not provide you all these summary statistics, then we would have to calculate the summary statistics using raw data, okay? So that is what I'm gonna do next. You get it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to delay the due date for 2 assignments because I need for us to catch up on this class. And after that, I'm not going to delay anything anymore. Okay, I'm not going to delay anything anymore. You're going to have a couple of assignments come back to back. Okay, so I don't have to be done at the same time. All right, so I'm going to illustrate how to do this with SPSS. Okay, and after that, I will illustrate how to do this with Excel when you have raw data. Okay, when you have raw data. Okay. I'm going to pull up some data and in SPSS and show you what that data is. And we're going to do a confidence interval for a particular value, okay? And then I'm going to show you some data in Excel. Maybe we're not going to do it the Excel today, okay? But I have something in Excel that I can already show you. I will post it, but then I'm going to come back next time and then we actually do it so that you can observe it. So if you want to do your problems using Excel, that would be your decision. If you want to do your problems using SPSS, that would be your decision, okay? But as I said earlier, if you choose to do your problems using Excel, the process is going to be more tedious. But it's up to you. It may not be as tedious as I'm thinking, because it's just a matter of calculation of a sample mean and a sample standard deviation. Big deal, okay? And then you take it from there. So let's look at a simple problem that we can solve. Let's see. All right. I'm going to pause for a minute. All right, so are you seeing a new screen? Hello?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, this is an SPSS screen. All right. And the information here is about houses in a neighborhood. Okay, it's about houses in a neighborhood. Now, to use SPSS, when you pull up an SPSS data, which I'm going to illustrate better next time, you have what you call a data view. Now, this square foot here represents the square footage of houses in the neighborhood. Okay. And then you're also going to have a variable view, which describes these symbols, like SQFT means living space in square feet. Beds means number of bedrooms. Okay. So I'm going to say to myself, what is the average size of living space in houses in these neighborhoods? I don't know how many houses we're looking at, but I'm going to find out soon. Okay. So we're looking at about 108 houses. Okay. Now this is the sample. The sample, we took a sample of 108 houses. All right. And I'm going to try to get a confidence interval estimate of the average square footage of houses in this neighborhood. Now, remember that this is just a sample of 108 houses in a neighborhood that may have 10,000 houses. So we take a sample of 108 of them. We use information from that sample to estimate the true average size of houses in the neighborhood. All right. So I'm going to go to analyze. Okay. We analyze and then we compare means. All right. Like I said, next time we're going to spend all the time doing SPSS. And we're going to also do Excel. So we compare means and we take one sample t-test. Take one sample t-test and you see, are you seeing test value? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, test value is 0 because you're doing a confidence interval. So test value is 0. So I'm going to take living space. Okay. I'm also going to look at the age of houses in the neighborhood. Okay. And I'm also going to do a confidence interval estimate of, say, the actual selling price of houses in the neighborhood. So I'm going to do 3 confidence interval estimates. And so I'm going to do a 99% confidence interval estimate. I'm going to say, okay, what do you have? Here you have your confidence interval. Right there, 99% confidence interval. Okay, of living space, of age, of selling price. 3 variables. And so, what is the average size of living space? I'm going to highlight that. I will copy it. And I will post it into MS Word. Okay. Okay. As a matter of fact, okay, I will share my screen again. All right. So I will take that and I post the results here. You can see that I have the confidence interval estimates here. So what do they show? What does it show? What do I have here? That whole process that I went through, the calculation, is out here. It shows that the average living space in for houses in this neighborhood is between 1,633 and 1,088 square feet. The average age of houses is between 10 years and 12 years. And the average selling price of houses is between 91,000 and 104,000. So this is a confidence interval, okay? As opposed to the hand calculation that you went through. But realize it's very important for you to know how those things are done, all right? Let me tell you guys a story, okay? This is going to end my lecture, the story that I'm going to tell you, all right? And since you guys are listening to an African, I will also tell you an African proverb, which I think is going to help you as you try to succeed, okay? This story I'm going to tell you is the story I heard when I was a sophomore many years ago, okay? More than 40 years ago. I was a sophomore and I was taking my first marketing class, And the instructor, Dr. Johnson, said to us, way back in the 1930s, there was an electrical power outage in a small town. And all the fine engineers in the electric company could not find a solution. So the company decided to call an old engineer, a retired engineer, who was retained as a consultant to come and take a look at why is it that this power outage could not be solved. So the retired engineer said, okay, let's go and look at the grids, you know, those electrical grids and what have you, the transformers, the big area where you have the hub. So he turned on the switches and he listened. So, okay, everybody come with me. So everybody went with the engineer to some corner in the grid. And he tapped on this little spot and he tightened the knot and he said, turn the power again. And all the power came back in town. So my God, we've tried for 4 days and the mayor was about to lose his job. So what's your bill for this job that you just did for us? That was in the 1930s. So the bill is $5,000. So $5,000, you can buy 5 cars with $5,000 because you knocked on that little spot and you tightened that little knot. Now you have to give us an itemized bill. Otherwise, we're not going to pay you. We have to be able to explain to the board of directors why you charge us $5,000 for knocking on that little spot. He said, fine, I will give you an itemized bill. Now, listen up. Do you know what the itemized bill looks like? Hello? Hey, guys, are you still there?
Yeah, we're listening.
Yes,
Yes,
we
yes, we're here.
All right, so I'll give you the items on the bill, okay? And tell me if it makes sense. He said, for knocking on that little spot, $1. For knowing where to knock, $4,999. Okay? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. So what I am trying to get all of you to understand is to know where to knock. Because my people have a saying in the African village, in the African community where I was born. It says the difference between one doctor and another doctor, the reason why one doctor is better than the other doctor is that the better doctor knows one herb that the other doctor doesn't know about. Does it make more sense now?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of sense does it make? What kind of sense does it make? The reason one doctor is better than the other one is that the better doctor knows one herb that the other doctor doesn't know. So the more knowledge you have, the more skills you have, the more chances you have. All right? So this is why we're going through all of this. And this is why the financial economics majors get better jobs. That is true. Okay, so I'm going to stop this there because I don't want to pack all of this into your head tonight. Okay? So next week, I'm going to spend all the time on SPSS and Excel. And if we have a little more time, we're going to do Minitab. That's no big difference. Okay, so that you know how to do your assignments, so that everybody can catch up on the assignments. And I'm going to do it on Monday night at 6:30. That's a fair deal?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so that's where we're going to hold it tonight. And so I'll see you all next week. Please endeavor to come so we can do our illustration and be able to finish this class. This is a very interesting class. It's a challenging class, but it's a very interesting class. And you will be able, you will leave this class and say, I am glad I took this class. And you say, I am glad I'm a financial economics major. All right. Does anybody have any questions for me before we close?
So, Professor, I see that there is a project that is on the exam session, but it doesn't have a due date.
Oh no, I'll give you the due date. The due date will be the end of the semester.
All right.
All right. Due date will be end of semester.
So the class is this time every week?
It's gonna be this time every week, but instead of 7 o'clock, it'll be 6:30 because, like I said, I had a medical appointment today.
All right.
All right. All right. So have a nice evening, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Professor. Too.
All right.